Hey guys, today we'll be looking at the Standbox. The Standbox is a product that's targeted towards RC airplanes. It's meant to be a workstation and a storage and transportation unit. What you get with the Standbox is you get 4 foam pieces like this. 2 are meant to carry the wings and 2 for the fuselages. You get 4 prisms that are meant to make the connections between the 2. You get straps. You get these little clips that are meant to hold these pieces together, and you get a little spooge. You also get this little neck strap, which I guess you could use to carry your spooge around your neck, but I don't see that happening for me. What they recommend is you get yourself a blade cutter to make these cuts, like shown here, because what you get out of the box is this unit is pretty flexible, which this is actually comes in like this, where it's not actually tied into anything, but beyond that, everything else has to be really cut out, including these little holes here that have been really meant for 1 1/4 inch PVC. They also sell these optional PVC connections, which are like $7 I think, but if you really want it, you could get regular 1 1/4 inch PVC from the hardware shop and make that connection like this. Now if you're not going to use the PVC, and if you're going to use the provided prism stands, you have to cut this out. It's a good idea to keep these, and then you insert these prisms like so, and essentially you have your box. Now you can see it's pretty flexible, but once you put an airplane on it, and once you make the box, it becomes pretty sturdy. Now the nice thing about this is it already has these cutouts that you can add or remove to essentially put different sizes of airplanes in. Once you've cut them out, you can also put them back in, and these little lips on the side really keep them in place such that you don't have to glue or do anything really beyond like tape or anything to hold that in place. They also have these little holes on the side that you could use for putting your wing tubes or tools in the field. And they also have a little slot here to carry the spooge in. It's a nice feature. Now the real unique thing about this is they're really meant to be stackable. So these little lips on the side, you can take the wing support, click them on like this, and then you can see how you can store your wing on top of your fuselage. These clips are meant to be used with the spooge that you essentially you can insert the clip like this by hand, or you can use a tool that they provide you. Let's see. To just insert it like this. There we go. And then bring it up here and make that connection. It's a useful tool, but I guess you can also make the thing by hand. You don't really need the tool. Now, another useful feature is on the wing support. You can see that there's this big opening to insert your main wing into. If you're going to be inserting 2 wings, you can see that there's also these little cutouts that you can cut with the blade. And once you make that cutout, there's this clip here that you can insert the wing into, and close the clip again to make a secure connection. So let's just really start real quick by looking at how this functions as a stand. So I have, let me clear some space there, and grab this Escapade from here, which is probably this Escapade is probably the only airplane that I have that's about the size to fit in this box. Now you can see as a stand, it works out pretty good. It's a little flexible, but the nice thing is that you can adjust the size if you want to move it down or up. You can move it backwards like this to get more space for the nose. And as a stand, I would say it's pretty decent. If you want to raise the tail a little bit, you can put this piece back in. And with this, you should be able to do any or most work that you want on the airplane. Now you can see with this one, with this Escapade, I have the wheel and essentially the landing gear that's essentially touching the prism connectors. What they did to make this a little bit more flexible is you can take these prism connectors out and insert them into this little hole, which you have to cut out by the way. And by doing so, let's see if we can do it by one hand. you have a little bit more clearance on your landing gear. And we can probably prop the nose a little bit. Let's bring this piece back in. There we go. Now, the next thing is, if you're going to use this as a storage and transportation units, you could probably store it like this. It's not bad. I prefer, honestly, to hang my airplanes by the tail like that, just more space efficient. But if you don't have access to something like this, you could go with wanting to store your airplane with the fuselage and the wings. Now, with an airplane like this, since it's quite a big airplane for this box, I don't think you'll be able to store the wings on top of the fuselage. So what they do is they recommend that you store the wings on the bottom, which is not bad. We take the wings, we can insert it through here, or just simply through here, but the problem is with these wings, which are pretty short, if I were to try to make them a couple like this, you can see it's pretty narrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert these through the sides like this, grab the second wing, insert this like so, put the wing tube in place, get these connectors, and make the connection to the wall. So this is not a bad way, I guess, to store my wing. Put this back in here because I'm not using that little feature of being able to store the wings in the slot. And there we go. Just clip this guy back in here. And now we have the wings that can be stored like this, or carried like that. Put the wing tube in the middle. And then I can take my airplane and put it on top. Now once I put it on top, I can make these connections. And now I have a way to store my airplane. And if I really wanted to, use these straps to clip onto these hooks. And essentially carry the airplane like this. Now I didn't actually tie these little clips in there. If I did, it would be a little bit stronger. But you can see how I did it with this calypso here, that it is pretty solid. But for an airplane that's heavy, like a nitro airplane, like this Escapade here, it is a little bit flexible. So I would recommend sticking to the foam airplanes with this unit. So let's put this back down. And let's look at this upgrade. So what you can also buy is these PVC tubes, or you can get them from the hobby shop or the hardware shop. And doing so makes this unit a whole lot more sturdy. With this here unit, I decided to store a hot liner. The hot liner itself is very small, so I'll be able to put the fuselage on the bottom like this. And if I really wanted to prop up the tail a little bit, not this piece. Oh, one of these. There we go. So I make a little cutout here. Here we go. Prop up the tail just a little bit. and then I'll be able to put the wing on top. Now with this, since the wing is so thin, I will want to use that little opening here to store the wing in. That's actually very easy to work with. I take my wing and just pop it open. I made the cut spray beforehand. Stick it in there, take the tool, lock it in place. There we go. And with this you can see it's a lot more sturdier, and I would have no problems after I obviously lock these in place to store my unit like this. Missing one. There we go. This is actually pretty nice. So the other nice thing about this unit is that they're stackable. So if you have more than one, you can take your secondary airplane, put it on top of here, assuming that the widths are the same, so I might have to adjust the width here a little bit. And I will be able to stack these units for storage. A little bit more adjustment on the width. So there you go. You can stack your units just like so. Now, you see a problem with this, right? So the problem is that your airplanes have to be essentially the same width, or as you set up the box, they have to be the same size. I think there's still an upgrade to this where you can actually get a secondary piece of foam, and using the PVC pipes, you can adjust it such that you can stack units of different sizes on top of each other. But this right here is not that bad. The only other problem that you might have is if you're going to put this flush against the wall, the width of your stabilizer may prevent you from doing so. So, you know, an easy way to work around it is just tilt the airplane a little bit, and then you can push against the wall. For stacking like 1 or 2 units, it's not that bad, but when you decide to go 3 or more, you really want to keep all your heavy airplanes on the bottom. So if I decided to put this heavy Escapade on the top, I'm not even sure if I can do this before without making everything fall over. You can see the whole thing is rather flexible and rather avoid putting heavy things on top. But if you really were inclined, you could put a piece of PVC down the side or reinforce it in some manner and get your unit stacked up against the wall all nice and pretty. So with the unit stacked like this, I can actually carry 2 units at a time, or I can store them side by side or somehow hang off the wall. Now one of the other nice things is that since this also works as a workstation, when I get out to the field like this, unload it from my car, set it up on the workbench, it's very easy to set up your airplane without having to worry about all the little things that you might get from putting your airplane on the ground or the workstation, or the dirty workstation, or just in the grass where you might have lots of ants and stuff crawling into your airplane. So with this, you just take it apart really easy, flip your airplane over, bring your wing. Now you can see you have a nice workstation at the field to be able to make all your connections, screw your wing in, and then you have a plane that's ready to go. One of the other nice features is that with these wing foams, there's also these little cuts here, which are meant to accept the wing. So if you're like having to build a wing and work on it, you can insert the wing in like so, and it keeps it pretty solid. So if you're at your workstation, having to work on your wing, or at the field trying to make a connection or route the server through it, it's a nice thing to have, so you don't put your wing flat on the desk and forget a little screw underneath it and punch a hole in your covering or whatever. So that pretty much sums up my take on the Standbox. I think it's a pretty good product for, I think they retail for $39.99, which is really, if you think about it, it's quite a bit to pay for some PVC and foam, but you can see that a lot of thought has gone into putting this together such that it's flexible. All these little clips and the tools that you get for being able to assemble your airplane, In fact, if you just look at the back of the box, they give you this this printout and ideas on how to use the unit, which is actually in itself pretty good. The main thing you want to remember when ordering this unit is the length and the size. So the length of the main PVC tube is about 40 inches, over 39 inches. The width of an airplane that you can probably put in there is about 8 inches. And the wings themselves, the opening on the side is about 9.5 inches. I guess you could expand it to about 10 inches if you were to cut a little bit more out of it. And the height of your wing can probably be no more than 2 inches. So, for example, with this, with the Escapade, my wings are pretty thick, so I can't really stack them on top of each other. So that's why I decided to put them in sideways like this. So overall, if you think about it, even though it's $39.99, if you were to go buy yourself a Workbench, which is probably spend $29 or so, and it won't have this flexibility of being able to adjust the width like this, or store your tools on the side. And then you also don't have the flexibility, obviously, to be able to use it as a storage unit and as a transportation unit. This right here is, this Calypso is, I think, the perfect use case of this product. You can see I put both wings on top of each other. I put the fuselage on the bottom, it's pretty solid. I put my wing tube here inside, and with the straps, it's very easy to transport. So I can just put this on my shoulder, and I'm off to the field. And once at the field, I can use this box to take my airplane out. There we go. Put the wing tube in. Gotta have a wing for that. And use essentially the main unit as my stand or workstation. So I don't have to put my foam airplane on the ground where it's going to get dinged up and dirty from the grass. And I'm not going to make all the connections here, but route the connections in here, put it in here, and then you have your airplane ready to fly. Then obviously once you're done, it's pretty easy to take this back out, put this inside, put this through here again. And then insert both of these guys through here. Make the connection. Put the wings back on the top, make all the clips, and you're good to go. So there you have it. This is the Standbox. The model is AVI 001. I think they also sell these in extended forms for gliders and wider forms for warplanes and whatnot. But this unit here is, I think, a good product for foam airplanes where you can essentially carry the airplane on the bottom, the wings on top, and store this up against your wall or anywhere in your house where you see fit. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time on RCU.